You know, I might be Croatia's biggest and only Yakuza fan, but there are certain RGG games which I've not been playing these last 3 years. Some, like Kenzan, are understandable. Some, like Kuroyo and Lost Paradise, are less so. Before the funny AC4 Majima Black Flag comes out, I will be going through the leftover spin-offs I have left. And Binary Domain potentially, but not holding my breath for this year. And so here I am writing the script early to mid-November, having beaten Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise about 2 weeks ago. I figure it's about time to go in on it. As someone who knows nothing about the adapted property, Fist of the North Star, besides the funny Omaivam Omim, well, quote-unquote funny, I went in with gameplay expectations being good and everything else would be new to me. So I'm heading into this game as a Yakuza purist wanting some more Yakuza games, and what do I get in return? Pre-Dragon Engine greatness. And how great it is.
Fight back, nigga! Oh my god! What the fuck? Man, I don't wanna talk to your bitch.
So yeah, the combat is pre-Dragon Engine, which used to be, prior to Judge and onwards, my absolute favorite engine. I always forget if the 0 to 5 engine has a name, but I'm just called it the 3 engine. And it's so good, man. Way back when I was Buddy Young chilling and going through the series, 0 and 5 easily had the best combats up until Judge improved the Dragon Engine. And Lost Paradise has the 5 engine tweaks basically. It's really good when it comes to flat out combat, but when it comes to other gameplay stuff, it's flawed. So yeah, we're starting off the video with mentioning the combat, and like I said, it's just more Yakuza with an over-the-top twist where Kiryu actually kills people. Only the voice of Kiryu, obviously. It has the heat actions which explode the enemy. They are great at the start, but slowly and surely grew to be very repetitive. Hell, the first 5 hours I already started being burnt out on the same heat actions over and over again. But thankfully perfect channels were added to alleviate not needing to spam the heat actions. And think of perfect channels as flux fissures, but a tad bit less broken, though a tad bit less forgiving. They just basically one-shot everything besides bosses, and even then they do a lot of damage if you can manage to use them on bosses. I love the channeling mechanic a lot. It's just a flux fissure prototype. Besides the channelings, there's usually skill tree shit, and it's a bad skill tree. It might be one of my least favorite upgrading systems in RGG so far. Legit, I think that eating, unironically, might be better. The whole eating upgrading system. It's not like Ishin's where you can put placeholder orbs and then swap them out once you get the actual colored orb. You have to actually wait until you get the needed orb to progress. It's really bad. It promotes grinding so badly, but we'll get to that later. That aside, the game has some of the worst enemy movesets I've seen in an RGG game. The big hammer guys can stun lock you, the small jumpy guys have such a shitty hitbox, and the giant mini boss is just not fun. They're just gimmicks. Which leads me to the difficulty. Oh brother is playing the game on hard mode rather hard. Like, yeah, funny. But no, really, it's really hard. LJ on hard was rather easy. On legend it was, I guess, normal to hard. But Fist of the North Star makes every game tremble difficulty wise. I died many times due to, well, shitty enemies and just, not just the shitty enemies, but still difficulty is difficulty. The game has the leveling system, which I thought was gonna be nice, but no, it really wasn't. Again, I'll get to the grinding later. But the game is hard. I welcome it. However, it's hard for the wrong reasons, really. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm gonna mention the grinding right now. So, it's easily the worst in the series, bar none. It is bad. Like, it's really bad. There are many times where the pace stops and you are forced to grind, be it difficulty or just needing materials for some stuff, or worst offender, needing to grind to unlock one specific upgrade so you can fight one major boss. Amazing. The amount of filler stuff in the game combined with the amount of grinding for everything important and non-important is just astounding. Worse than Ishin somehow. Hell, the Yakuza 4 themselves mentioned how bad the grinding was. Glad I wasn't the only one.
It encapsulates everything perfectly about why I heavily dislike Fist of the North Star, in that it doesn't respect your time as a player. Like, you have basically, you're trying to figure out where the main bad guy's group is, Nadai. So what you need to do is you get like a little tip that there's a sage of the desert. Like, I can't remember if they're like a cameo character or whatever. So you're supposed to go out to the wasteland. You drive like halfway down the wasteland, because in the story, you actually only see like a third of the wasteland. You don't have to go to the other 2/3. And even in all sub-stories, the only reason why you go to the very bottom of the map is to do that one race. There's like no reason to go to most parts of the map.
Yeah.
It is a pure fucking wasteland, literally. But you go down to like halfway down the map, you get to these rocks, and Kenshiro's like, oh, I can't do anything about these rocks. I better go back and go see my mate Bat. So you go back to the city,
fucking punch the rock.
Yeah, I mean, literally, he could do. He could jump it.
Yeah.
Like, you literally go back to the city, you see Bat, and Bat's like, oh, mate, you need a part for your car, you do. It just so happens I got that
I hate
part
that.
for you. So
I hate that.
You're like, all right, cool, I'm going to get this part and put it on my car. Except it's not fucking made, is it? So you have to go back to the wasteland to grind the items. And again, I will praise Fist of the North Star where it deserves its praise. When you go back to the exact same spot, which thank God there's a fast travel point nearby, it does increase the spawn rate of said items. Cool. Good. But then you have to go back to Bat, make the part, and by God, you better not forget to put it on your car, because if you do, you're going back again. Put it on the car, you drive to the rock, and you don't even, like, Kenshiro's like, oh, I need some speed to, like, hit this rock. No, you don't. You just need, like, 100 miles an hour. Like, you don't even need speed. You go through, you speak to the desert, the sage of the desert, and his literal, like thing to tell you is, listen to the people of the city. You go back home, you make it nighttime, fucking Jaguar turns up and says, oh, we found him. Fuck off. Excuse my language. That encapsulates everything wrong about Fist of the North Star. It doesn't respect your time as a player. There are so many bits like that that just waste your time.
Negativity aside for the time being, Eden is a pretty good city. At the start I loved it, but I will say by the end it started to get a bit less good. It's fine as a finishing. The issue is, while the city is great looking, navigating it is, you only have like 2 or 3 routes to take to where the main story stuff happens often. And it's always the same routes no matter what. And since it's the 5 engine, plenty of random encounters exist. I'm not Leon though, I love the random encounters, but I will say if you aren't like me, then it'll be as bad as 5. The side content, while good, does have a lot of, you guessed it, grinding. Anyways, Dr. Ken has got to be the best side activity in this game. The bartending stuff is fine, the baseball is great, how they managed to convert it into something goofy. But Dr. Ken is just goated, man. It's so fun, and it's such a rather rough rhythm game. Like, it's a bit hard, I'm not gonna lie. That said, there's also the Coliseum, which is as usual great, with some more incentives to replay certain matches, and they get harder with better rewards. Buggy racing. Alright, I forgot to mention there's also driving in this game. It's not that good. Moving on. Bounty hunting is generic mini-boss stuff. It's pretty fun. It gets repetitive, but it's fun. It's just, again, mini-bosses. The hostess minigame. I haven't actually tried it even once, unfortunately, so I can't say how it is. I mean, the Lost Paradise version, I mean. Treasure hunting. It's actual doo-doo. Like, defeating enemies drops the random loot, and you have like 10 minutes to reach a location. It's usually bad rewards, so I only did it like 3 times when they were C ranks at least, and even then they were bad. Sub-stories as usual. However, this game's sub-stories weren't memorable at all for me, I'm not gonna lie, they're just there. I think it's a quantity v quality thing. It's plenty of quantity in this game, but nothing that much that stands out, personally. Anyways, the art style. It's eh. I'm not a fan of the art style, but actually, I'm indifferent. It's just the style the anime itself has, and it's not for me. The animations are great. The apocalyptic atmosphere was a very unique thing for RGG for me. But now let me mention the OST. Hot damn is the OST good. Holy moly. Like, it's so good. Holy shit. It's the pre-techno shift RGG, but it does have several techno tracks which definitely do make sense and are pretty good. It's so good, man. Let's hop into my favorites. Absolute bangers. Each and every one. Really great OST. The voice acting is also pretty good, but honestly I should have just swapped to English because hearing Kenshiro threw me off guard so much. I remember when I started watching JJK and the principal guy was Kuroda, I immediately pointed the finger at the screen. Kuroda is just... he is Kiryu. Can't hear him anywhere else. But now let's get into the real stuff, the story. AKA the weakest part of the game for me personally. Like, legit, I couldn't care much about it. Maybe if I watched the anime it would be better, but it was just a little bit too iffy. Like, it's a low B tier story-wise, but then at the end it turns into an easy D tier. Like, it's so pointless. I legit for the first time in my entire life skipped RGG dialogue when a certain twist showed up at the end. I just couldn't bother. Hint, it has to do with Jagre. Anyways, Targa's a dog shit villain. Story did have potential but fell flat on my side. Just not that good. That being said, is the game fun? Yeah. Is it worth playing as an RGG fan? Double yeah. Is it flawed? Domain expansion, infinite yes. It's just... it hits really well. The bosses are great, the OST is amazing, the combat is extremely fun, but switching to normal difficulty past chapter 9 really made me love it even more. It's just not worth the necessary grinding, so I just swapped to normal. Grinding is bad, the story is at best, the driving is serviceable, it's unique at least. The wasteland is empty, the sub-stories are plentiful with no substance, the enemies are not great. I don't know, I don't know, Walt. There's a lot of stuff weighing it down. It's funny, over the top. It's RGG. Replaying will make the game like 50 times better. I can tell that from the get-go, but I'm not gonna replay it anytime soon. I do hope that it gets a PC port because, again, it's worth playing, but man, the PS5 has no games. Like, legit played it on it. A PS4 game. Like, fuck's sake. Despite its issues, I had a fun time. It's without a shadow of a doubt in the lower echelons of RGG games for me, but again, the worst RGG game is better than most recent slop. I think it's a B tier game underneath Ishin. I give it like a good 8 out of 10. So, that's all. We got more RGG left, but personally I got a lot of smaller stuff I want to play. Dead Souls or Kuroya will be next RGG games, but when? I don't know. Maybe December. I have time until the Majima game comes out. So, next video, Metaphor. As of writing this script, I got to the final dungeon, and hopefully, while editing, it will be done. Surely. So yeah, that's all. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise was a great game, but a bottom echelon of RGG games, in my opinion. See ya, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.